Good morning, YouTube. So today's a shorter day. I was gonna go by myself, but I had asked my dad if he wanted to come along, and he said yeah. So my dad's is tagging along. I think we only have like 6 or 7, and then we're gonna finish off a job from yesterday. Pretty much declining. It was like a kind of like a weird situation. He bought. He had asked me if he buys bags of mulch, if we can spread it for him. So it was 20 bags, and I quoted him 125 on top of his regular schedules, his regular maintenance day. So it was like 125 on top of 75. So that job alone was like 205, I believe, and or like 200. It was 200. And then it took us about like 40 minutes, and pretty much I had Jacob just service the property while me and my dad laid down the mulch. So that's super easy. He did run out of mulch towards, or I guess he didn't order enough mulch to cover one section of his flower bed, nor the side of his garage. So I shot him a text and I was like, hey, you're about like 12 bags short. If you want, since I knew today was a little bit slower, I was like, if you want, I can go pick up the bags of mulch and then, just charge you $50 for a delivery fee. Because I had quoted him the 125 because I knew what sections we would cover. So technically speaking, I know it's not my fault, but technically speaking, we didn't finish the job because he didn't order enough mulch. And I know a lot of guys out there are like, well, it's his fault. He should have ordered enough mulch, or he should have hired me to do the job, and we wouldn't be going back and forth. But again, he's a great client. Never gave me any issues. Gives me work all year round. When there's like little projects like that, he normally shoots me a message to ask if if it's something we can do. And I tell him yeah. So when things like that happen, again, $50 is not a lot, but it'll fill like half of my gas tank. It's extra $50 I didn't mind, or I didn't have, nor do I mind, because I'm going to be in that area regardless. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. But I got a cut the other day, or yesterday actually, on my finger. I don't know how, but I'm just letting it heal. If you guys can tell, let me put this finger like that. Maybe this will be my thumbnail. I got a new weed eater, so I finally pulled the trigger on the 2620T. I already added the Darwin's grip, and I took out the guard. That way I can run the string longer. I only have one. I have two 111 RX, but one of them has been bogging down, and then I really don't want to put all my faith in that other weed eater. So yesterday we finished early, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make the drive. The dealer was like an hour and 10 minutes away. So I did the drive. I bought two, so I have another one in the garage as a backup. So if any of my other weed eaters ever break down or bog down or whatever, I'll just pull it out and we'll use that one. So super stoked about it. They were expensive. Not as expensive as the steel. I think the 111 RX were like close to 500, or maybe like 500 plus tax. And then the 2620Ts came out to like 440 with tax. So I bought two, and I ended up spending like 880. So it's one of those things where like I'm excited that I got it, but I was holding off because I know just how expensive these are. But I'll make that money eventually. It'll make my life easier out there. I know when summer's starting and it's like 90, 95 degrees outside, or the heat index is like 110. If you don't have the right equipment, your weed eaters, your edgers, your backpack blowers, they're not gonna turn on during the heat if it's not commercial grade level. So I'm just thinking ahead, and I know that again, with one weed eater, and then right now I'm at like 52 accounts. So we're doing about like 25 to 30 depending on the week. To do all that with one weed eater, and then as you can see, the Ryobi weed eater for my dad, it's just asking for trouble. It's something, one of them is going to break. I only have 3 batteries for the Ryobi. So technically speaking, I can probably only do like 4 or 5 properties with the weed eater before I go through all my batteries. But today I wanted to talk to you guys. I know in my last video I said I believe it was the 3 business goals that most lawn care businesses have. Today I kind of want to talk about my business goals, or my goals in general. It's not just like business. I'm gonna put, I'm gonna put my personal goals in there too, so that you guys can kind of get kind of know more about my background, or kind of get to know me a little bit more. If you're new to the channel, it gives you like an insight of, where I am in life and financially, because, obviously, this page or this YouTube channel is all about, starting your own business or running your own business, and also throwing in there like financial goals, because like I said, a few videos down, you need different assets. How I think of it is like you kind of have to be a spider and kind of like put all your legs in different places, or different like cookie jars, because eventually you're gonna hit it big with one of these businesses or one of these ideas that that pop into your mind or in your head. Sooner or later you're gonna hit. Like, you can't constantly always be losing. So it'll probably, something will click and you're like, oh, maybe I should try that. And if it works for me, it might work for you guys. I try to be as transparent as possible, because it's not always ups, where I'm not always winning. It's a roller coaster of emotions and ups and downs and whatnot. But let's get it. So we just finished property number 1. Feedback regarding the 2620T right off the bat. It's a lot lighter. So it is definitely a lot lighter than the 111RX. Power, I will say that the 111RX seems like it has a little bit more torque to it. It has a little bit more power to it. But for, what we're doing, the 2620T is more than enough. But comparing it to the 111RX, it does lack some power. It's lighter. It's definitely lighter. As soon as I picked it up, I knew right away that it was maybe like a couple pounds lighter, which may not seem a lot, but when you're doing like anywhere from like 10 to 15 yards a day, those 2 pounds definitely help out. So it's too early to tell which one I like over the other one. One thing I don't like is to like turn it off. Like, you have to push this down, push that down. And then sometimes, or on this yard, since it's the first yard I did with it, I tried turning it back on, and I was like, why wouldn't it turn? Or I was asking myself, why wouldn't it turn back on? And it was because I didn't flip that switch over. Opposed to, I got it back here because I didn't know if I would be needing it or not. But compared to the 111RX back here, you just push this button and it turns off, and it kind of like springs back up, so that you don't have to like do what I'm doing, where you have to like keep switching it on and off. So that's gonna get some used to it, but it's no big deal. And then I did add the Darwin's grip on it already, because I love this guy. I'm 5'11", so if you're pretty tall, I'm not super tall, but if you're tall, like 6 feet, you definitely want to buy a Darwin's grip to save your back. As I was saying, I had to come back and close the gate. That Darwin's grip is such a lifesaver for your back. And that's one of the reasons why I went to go buy it, or the weed eater, was because Jacob normally doesn't like using the Darwin's grip, and then the other weed eater, I just keep it off because sometimes, he weed eats, and I rather, instead of taking it off and on, I've just left it off. But even this week, it's Thursday. Yesterday, my back was feeling it because I was like using it most of the day yesterday. I was like, I need to go buy another weed eater and just have my own again. But my main goal for 2025 would be to tackle down my credit card debt. I have a good chunk of credit card debt, and it's just from expenses, or if one of the rental properties, if something breaks, I just put it on the credit card, and little by little it adds up, and it got away from me. So I'm paying about like $650 a month just on the interest alone. So that's pretty much a car note, and I was like, I need to tackle that down. So I've been tackling it down since last year. This year, I think it's like 5 credit cards overall. I did pay one off recently, so I'm working on the second one, and then keep going on and on from there. Because I don't want to just pay all of it off, and then pretty much not have any money in my savings. Because I know things are going to break, and I want to have that money or those reserves in case I need to pay something right there and then. So I might be able to do it this year. I'm not sure. But that's my main goal for this year, is just to tackle all my credit card debt. So we just finished doing this one. And this one, my buddy Sean from SX2, make sure you guys follow him. Sent me this client over. He used to be one of his clients. And it's a big property. Luckily I have 2 guys with me, or Jacob, or normally my dad. Right now it's just my dad. But if I were to do this alone, it would probably take me like 40 minutes. But with me and my dad, we'll probably would do it like 30 minutes. 25 to 30 minutes. But he didn't want to deal with this client anymore, or not deal with her, but he just didn't want this property anymore. So he sent me a message a few months ago and said, hey, we want this yard. I'm gonna, I don't want to take it back this year. So make sure you guys follow him. That way he can send me more of his clients. Kidding. So my main goal, again, is just to pay off my credit card debt. And then after that, second goal would be to buy my wife. Let me sit down for a little bit. Is to buy my wife a car. So she's had her Santa Fe for about, I would say, maybe 10 years. So it's time to upgrade her, but it just doesn't make, financially speaking, it doesn't make sense for me to get in debt even more and buy her car because she needs one. And it's not that she needs one, but her car's just old and she's had it for a while. So it's time for her to buy it. It's time for her to get a new car. And I kind of want to buy like a bigger, full-size SUV, since now we have Zeta and we need a bigger car to travel comfortable. But yeah, it's to get her a full-size SUV. I don't know if I'll be able to get there this year, but it's definitely on my list. And then third but not least, it's obviously just to keep growing for my business. Pretty much just keep taking clients, really work on my route density, because that route density is key. And I know I mentioned my buddy Sean. We're probably doing the same amount of yards. I'm averaging anywhere from like 10 to like 13 yards a day, sometimes 10 to 12 days. 10 to 12 yards a day, and I'm sure he's doing like 8 to 10 by himself. So like our numbers are pretty close, but that's me with another guy, and he's solo. But because he's been in the game a lot longer, his route density is pretty tight, or he's pretty much making more than what I am with that extra guy helping me out. But it's just part of the process. It just takes time. He's probably, I think he's like 3 years ahead of me. So you definitely want to network, because when you meet someone that's like willing to help you out, you just get to your goal a lot quicker, because you have those little insights from that person. Or for me, like if I'm stuck with something, I can shoot him a text, be like, hey, what would you bid on this? Or hey, what are your thoughts on this? And I would kind of like pick his brain. and ultimately he has saved me a lot of time and money. So it's you definitely want to network with someone, you know, in your area. That way you guys can bounce off ideas and whatnot. At the end of the day, there's so many houses anywhere, you know, for my area. Like, realistically speaking, like, you know, how many of these yards can I actually take on, you know? And it's probably just like maybe this one neighborhood, and I'll be booked, you know, for completely. So what I'm trying to get at is that there's so many opportunities. Like, you shouldn't take it as a competition when you see other lawn care guys, or like, oh, you know, he's in my territory or whatever, or you feel like some kind of jealousy, or you're envious of this person. On the flip side, you should kind of like befriend them and be like, hey, you know, I know we're in the same area, like we should, you know, go grab a drink or grab a beer or whatever, and bounce off ideas and kind of like work together or grow together, opposed to like each person doing their own thing. And that's just my thinking. But anyways, yeah, those are my 3 goals for this year. We'll see. Let me know what y'all goals are, and you can put a comment, and then by next year, you know, you guys can come back to this video and kind of see where you're at, if you were able to accomplish those goals. For me, they're pretty much realistic goals, because I know as long as I budget and I just keep, you know, the money that I'm making, I just keep throwing it back into my credit card, that I know I can achieve that this year. The second one, buy my wife a car. I'd be shocked if I could pull it off. I don't know, but obviously I'd have to pay off my credit card debt to be able to buy her a car. So I don't know if I'll be able to do that. And I just don't want to get in debt. Like, I kind of want to pay for it. Like, either leave a good, like, a big down payment, or pay it off right off the bat. But most likely I'll have to leave like a good, you know, down payment, so that my payments aren't too high and the interest doesn't eat me alive. And then third, with the business, you know, just really work on my route density. Right now I'm done advertising. You know, all these calls that I'm getting, it's literally people finding me on Google or Nextdoor. Like, those calls just keep coming in, and I'm not getting a lot of calls. I'm averaging about like 4 to 5 a week. And then I'm landing like 2 to 3 jobs a week on top of that. So I know with the route density, it just takes time. So I'm not really worried about that. I don't think I don't think by this year I'll be where like Sean is at, but I think by next year I'll definitely be there, as I get a little bit tighter and I get a little bit more strict on who I'm taking on and whatnot. But anyways, like always, like, subscribe. I appreciate y'all.